أعوذ بالله بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. You may ask, what is the meaning of the word Tauheed? Tauheed is all about the oneness of Allah. Although I'll speak in detail after the introduction, you'll know more when we come to that. But then when we refer to us, when we say Tauheed, we're referring to the oneness of Allah. Right? Okay. Now this is lesson number 1. Lesson number 1 on Tauheed. Okay. I have a question for all of us. My question is, why do we exist? I'll give you some of the answer. Why do we exist? Why are we on earth? And where are we going to? Of course, this is a question, that every human being should ask himself. This is a question that every human being should ask himself. Whether you are alone or with others, whether you find yourself in the bush alone, you've never seen any other human being, you ask yourself this question: why do we exist? Yes. Now, can the answer be something I'm going to say now? Let's assume that if the world, no, let just take it as it is, please. Now, if I tell you that the rotation of the earth once exists in 24 hours, which gives the day. Let me come again. I tell you that the rotation of the earth on its axis, which gives us, in 24 hours approximately, which gives us a complete day, is accidental. Let me say that. When I tell you this is accidental, it just happened. The world just appeared accidentally, and it just set itself to rotate in 24 hours. And for all the time it existed, there has never been a change. It has never been 25 hours or 26 hours. It has always been 24 hours. If I tell you that the world, the earth, did this on its own, accidentally, coincidentally, do you agree with me? If I tell you the revolution, the revolution of the earth around the sun, the sun moves around, the earth moves around the sun, which brings about the changes in season, right? That brings about winter, brings about summer, it brings about, other, seasons. If I tell you that, and it's as a result of these seasons that we get to plant what we'll eat in different seasons. And with that, we get to have what we'll eat throughout the year. Without the seasons, let's assume that it rains forever. If it rains forever, we cannot grow what to eat, right? Yeah. And if it's summer forever without rain, right? And if it's winter alone, we cannot grow certain crops. We can only grow other crops, right? So now the changes is in season, bring about an opportunity for us to plant what will sustain us, throughout the year. Now, if I tell you that this changes in season is done accidentally, there's no pre-planned thing for it. Just the seasons decided to come on their own, just to allow you to plan what you'll eat throughout the year, or allow you to experience the different changes throughout the year. It just happened, all of a sudden. Would you please agree with me? Now, if this is not possible, if it's not possible for these things to happen on their own, if it's not possible for the earth to just appear and time itself, and it's not possible for the earth to just subject itself to a given rotation to bring about certain changes in seasons, then someone has to do it. Even scientists believe that God is in charge, although they have their own additions. Newton believes that yes, there is the force of God in everything. So now, if these things are not possible, then definitely there's someone doing it. And who is that person? Let's read the verse from the Qur'an. Surah Al-A'raf. Surah Al-A'raf, the 7th verse of the Quran, and the 7th chapter of the Quran, in the 54th verse, Quran 7, verse 54, Allah says, إن ربكم الله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في ستة أيام ثم استوى على العرش, till the end of the ayah. Allah said, indeed, your Lord is Allah. I said, Lord means someone who created something and sustains that thing. This verse says, indeed, your Lord is Allah, which means the one who created everything and sustains everything. If you want to know who He is Allah. Inna rabbakum Allahu alladhi, then it says, khalaqa as-samawati wal-arda, is the one who created the heavens and the earth. Whatever you see in the universe, all the galaxies, all the planets, the sun, the moon, and the earth, and every other thing that exists, the ones we know about and the ones we don't know about, who created them? He is Allah. Yes, He is Allah. Now He created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, and then He rose over His throne. He took a balance on His throne, on His throne, in a form that suits His form, right? Allah is not like us. So His form is not like that of ours. So He has taken a balance on His throne in a way that best suits Him. Now, يُغْشِي اللَّيْلَ النَّهَارِ, He brings the night as a cover over the day. He makes the night to cover the day and the day to cover the night through the way the earth rotates. And this happens rapidly, We may be living in light now. This is afternoon in my own location of the earth. Now, this light will be covered with darkness because the earth will definitely rotate, right, on its axis. Now, this happens rapidly. Now, this ayah is telling us that Allah is the one who made this. If you are living in this and you don't know where this sin is coming from, this verse is telling you that it's Allah who is making this sin to happen. And He created the sun, the moon, and the stars, and He subjected all of them to His command. Now, this is to say that the earth's rotation is under Allah's command. That's why it happens approximately 24 hours and it has never changed. And the earth's revolution around the sun, we experience these seasons on a yearly basis. That shows that this earth is also Allah's command, is under Allah's command. And the sun itself moves, and the planets move. The stars also have their own motion. All of these are under Allah's command. They are not just there for nothing. They did not do themselves. They did not just appear from nothing and they started, If they can do it themselves, then they are not from nothing. We'll say that they are very powerful as well. But since they are not living, then the one who did it is Allah. And we can see that in the message that He sent to us through His Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam. Now, He's the creator of everything and He commands everything. Blessed is Allah, the Lord of the Alameen. As I said in Surah Al-Fatiha, Alameen refers to mankind, jinn, and all that exists. Now, this verse will give us an answer to the questions I raised in the beginning of the rotation of the earth and the revolution of the earth. Now, again, I'll say that look at the air that you breathe in, look at the water you take in. The most important thing to every living thing on earth is air. Even the fish in the sea, they take dissolved air. If you cover the sea with oil and they don't get the air they need, believe me, all the fishes are going to die. So what every living thing needs is air. And the next thing that has a lot of value, which follows the air, is water. Now, the most cheapest thing on earth is the air, followed by water. If you tell me that all these came by accident, the air knew that all human beings and every other animal and every other thing that exists needs the air. So it came by accident, just blasted and it appeared so that it will live. I'll just look at you and laugh as I'm laughing now. Yep. So now, can it be possible? Can it be possible for all the needs of human beings and other animals to just do themselves? Now the Quran says, وَقَدَّرَ فِيهَا أَقْوَاتَهَا. Now when the earth was made, all that will be needed by everything that will live by everything that will live on earth was put in it. From day one to the last day that this earth will exist, whatever will live on earth, whatever that thing will need is contained on this earth. Now, if these things came by accident, you know, we human beings use metal, we have metal on there. We use gold, we use silver, we use plastic. The trees that grow from the earth and they produce plastic. Whatever we need comes from it. Now, if all these things gathered, did their own meeting in wherever they're from and they plan to come to earth, coincidentally by accident, can this be possible? I don't think so. Look at the gravity on earth. If you go to Mars, if you go to the moon, there's no gravity. Can we say that gravity existed in earth coincidentally? Will life be good without gravity for human beings and animals? You know, before you take one spoon of food, you'll spend minutes, right? So will life be good with gravity on earth? And I mean, without gravity on earth? And are we saying that this has happened on its own, accidentally or coincidentally, without anybody in control? I don't know. You give the answer. Now, let me say that, let me give an answer to the question I began with. Why do we exist? That's the question. Now, indeed, with the little explanation that I did now, we can say that there's a purpose behind our existence, right? So indeed, the purpose of our existence on earth is to worship our Lord, Allah, as the last ayah in Surah Al-An'am rightly mentioned. And Allah created us for His wise purpose. Now Allah is Al-Hakim, so He decided to create us out of His wise purpose, wisdom. And He told us in the Qur'an, in the 51st surah, which is Surah Al-Dhariyat, and in the 56th verse, it said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. He said, I did not create jinn and mankind except that they worship me. I did not create jinn and mankind except that they worship me. Yeah. Now, the Quran, in another verse in Surah Al-Baqarah, which is the second chapter of the Quran, verse 21, Allah says, Ya ayyuhan nas. So I read this verse in my last lecture of the tafsir. I'll still repeat it for its relevance here. Allah says, Ya ayyuhan nas, u'budu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum. O mankind, worship your Lord, your sustainer who created you. So if you are looking for who created you, if you are looking for who created the universe, you have the answer in the Holy Quran, in the glorious Quran. Allah says, O mankind, worship your Lord who created you and those who came before you so that you remain righteous. So if you want to know who created your great grandfathers, then you have the answer here in the Quran. So the ayah ends up by saying, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you remain righteous. Indeed, so that you may likely become and remain righteous. So from this we can say that the wisdom behind worship is keeping continuous connection with Allah. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So if you are to do worship, of course, in this dunya we cannot see Allah the Almighty, right? And the reason why we cannot see Him is He's far away from us. Between us and where Allah is, we have 7 heavens. The Prophet ﷺ has rightly mentioned, between the surface of the earth and the first heaven is a journey of more than 500 years if you are to go there. If you are to be given a ladder to walk there, to move there, it's a journey of beyond 500 years. So it's a very far distance. You know, even in this dunya, you have a limit to where you can see. But then Prophet Adam has seen Allah the Almighty, and he was the first prophet. And he has worshipped Allah, and from there he was placed on earth, right? And he called upon his children to the worship of Allah. And other prophets were sent. And these prophets all came with their message. Yeah. So now these prophets with their messages represent Allah on earth, right? They tell people about Allah. They answer all questions about Allah. And their messages in form of books, go around to keep these messages. Now, so the wisdom behind worship is keeping continuous connection with Allah. If you worship Allah, if you do salah in dunya, you are keeping connection with Allah, right? Which means without worship, human beings can forget the purpose of their existence. Without salah, without zakah, without hajj, if you are to live without worship, without doing dhikr, you may forget that we are made by Allah. Look at atheists, for instance. Look at the kind of life they live. They decide to choose, to select, or choose for themselves their minds as their gods. What their mind tells them is their God. And their mind supersedes every other being. You know, you must have a God. It's either Allah or your mind or an idol or any other person, a human being out of you. So if you follow what your mind tells you, then your mind is your God. Allah says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Didn't you see the person who considers his mind as his God? These are the atheists. They will tell you they don't believe in God, but they do believe in God because they believe in what their minds tell them. So Allah tells you about them. So now, if you don't do worship like this, people, they don't worship, they only worship their minds. All they concentrate on, or they engage themselves in, is what their minds gets them on. They completely forget about Allah. And some of them end up being depressed, and some of them end up going into suicide. They kill themselves because they have no meaning for their existence. They have no meaning for their existence. Yeah, okay. So now, another scenario that I'll read to us, this is just an introduction to the Tauheed. I'm heading somewhere, we'll come and meet in the right place, inshallah. Now, if you come across a car, a Mercedes car, for instance, and there's a driver in this car, okay? And this driver came up to meet you and he brings out this manual of the car. And this manual, which was made by the company who did the car, contains in it everything that has to do with the safety procedures of this car. Now, if this man tells you that this car is a Mercedes car made by the Mercedes company, and this is how it should be, driven, will you agree with this man, or you'll agree with someone who doesn't know anything about Mercedes company, and he comes to you and tell you that there's no Mercedes company, and all this man is saying about this Mercedes car is a lie, it doesn't exist? Who will you believe in? Will you believe in the person who came with the car, drove the car, and gave you the manual, or someone who has never entered the car, has never known anything about the existence of the car? You come and tell that this car does not have a maker. This car accidentally appeared, coincidentally appeared on its own with no influence from anywhere. Who will you believe in? Now, in order to keep mankind connected to Allah, Allah has sent messengers and prophets to nations. Now, these messengers are like the driver of this Mercedes car, right? Now, the Mercedes car is like the religion itself, right? And the company who did the Mercedes car is like Allah, who created everything. Now, if Allah created everything, and Allah sent a religion through a book, and He gave this book to a messenger, and this messenger he came to us with this message. and another person comes and tells us, someone who has never known Allah, that this messenger is lying, who should we believe in? We believe in the messenger, definitely. These messengers are sent time after time. Sent time after time to tell us that you people were created by Allah, and this is Allah's message to you. Now, we, like every other nations, we have a messenger. And our messenger is the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And what is the evidence that the Prophet ﷺ has been sent? The first evidence is the Qur'an. This Qur'an has lived for more than 1,400 years. And this Qur'an was revealed to someone who was non-literate. He could not read and write. He could not read and write. Now, this person was given this Qur'an more than 1,400 years ago. And the Qur'an has never changed. And look at how perfectly the Qur'an was arranged. Now, this Qur'an is an evidence that Allah the Almighty has sent a messenger. And another evidence is that the Prophet ﷺ's grave is still in existence, and he is inside that grave. So it is true that a prophet has come, and the prophet's grave is there. Now other prophets have come. Other prophets have came as well. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Remember, Allah said, وَإِذْ يَرْفَعُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ الْقَوَاعِدَ مِنَ الْبَيْتِ. Remember, Allah narrates the story of Prophet Ibrahim when he built the Kaaba with his son. Now, the existence of the Kaaba indicates that, yes, Prophet Ibrahim was sent and he once existed. And you have the Maqam Ibrahim, the footprint of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. You remember Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, Moses, the body of Fir'aun is still living. And you have the Old Testament, which part of it is still part of the real Injil. Now, the existence of the body of Fir'aun proves that Moses was sent, alayhi salatu wasalam. Allah says regarding Fir'aun, فَالْيَوْمَ نُنَجِّيكَ بِبَدَنِكَ لِتَكُونَ لِمَنْ خَلْفَكَ آيَةً. Today we will protect you and we will protect your body, so that you will become a sign to those who will come after you. Those who will come after will see how Allah dealt with a kafir like you. This is what Allah said to Fir'aun, or Allah said regarding Fir'aun. So virtually for all the messengers mentioned in the Qur'an, there's something that you will see today that will show that these people have existed. So right from the beginning of the time that the first human beings stepped on earth, was Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. Of course, that our existence shows that Adam has lived. We as human beings, and the story of DNA shows that human beings were originated from one person. This is what DNA shows. And without DNA, we already know from the Quran that yes, life started from one person, right? So now, our existence shows that Prophet Adam alayhi salatu wasalam has lived. So right from the beginning of time till date, messengers have been sent from Allah, and their message was that people should worship alone. So Allah says in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولٍ أَنِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. This is Quran chapter 16, verse 36. Allah said, we have sent a messenger to every nation, and their message was that the people should worship Allah and shun the idols. Yeah, worship Allah and leave anything besides Allah. When we say idol in Islam, that is a Tauheed. It's anything besides Allah. It can be a human being who agrees that he should be worshipped. It can be a statue. It can be any other thing. It can be a tree. It can be a snake. It can be a cow. All of these can be Tauheed, yani idols. Now, what are we trying to establish here? We're trying to establish that yes, there's a maker. There's someone who created everything, and that person is Allah. As I said, although we cannot see Allah because He's too far from us, that's why we cannot see Him. If at all you'll be taken to where Allah is, now you will definitely see Allah. But then Allah can see us wherever we are because He's different from us. لا تدركه الأبصار وهو يدرك الأبصار. Your sight cannot see Allah, but Allah can see you. Yeah. You know, even the satellites that humans do, they'll place a satellite up there, and the satellite will give you a picture of so many places on Earth, but many people cannot see the satellite from where it is. Talk less of Allah the Almighty. So now, with this, we get to establish that yes, there's a maker of everything, and that maker of everything is Allah, and Allah has established Himself on His throne above the seventh earth, right? And that messengers have come, and they have brought to us the message of Allah. And that message is that we should worship Him alone without associating Him with any other thing. Now, some people may bring the issue of theories of evolution. They may want to argue that yes, someone like Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, has said a lot of things about, evolution, and that some scientists, some of them are okay with it, while others are not okay. So he believes in the ones that are okay. Someone will bring you the issue of Charles Darwin or Alfred Russel Wallace, and they will say a lot of things about these people. Now, let me say that Jean-Baptiste Lamarck lived from 1744 to 1829. Not more than 400 years from now. In fact, not more than 300 years from now. Charles Darwin and Alfred Russel lived around 1858. How many years? 200 years plus. Now, before these people, there was nothing like the theory of the revolution on Earth. Before them, I can narrowly say that this Earth existed for more than 1 million years. Before them, there was no notion. Nobody has ever made mention of their own concept of evolution. Nobody has ever made mention of that, which means their concept began with their advent. Their whole way of thinking started with them. And so from this, we can say the whole idea did not exist before these people, which means if they had not existed, up till now, there would be nothing like the theory of evolution. Nobody will have that kind of thought, and nobody will come to believe in it. Now, if we look at the time they lived, the time they existed, or we compare it to the time of Prophet Adam, who came as a human being, as the first person on earth, and he preached the worship of Allah. And we know that there's no history that has ever denied the existence of Adam. The books of history have approved the existence of Adam and the existence of other prophets. Noah, Sulaiman, Dawood, David, the books of history has mentioned these people. And up to now, you have proofs on these people, so it's not a lie. Now, Prophet Adam والسلام, came and he worshipped Allah and he preached Islam amongst his children. Now, his belief as the first person, Prophet Adam, we can say, is seconds away from his creation, right? When the life was blown, when Allah blew life into him, in seconds, he saw Allah and he spoke with Allah, and he knew that Allah created him. And this man preached that Allah is the creator. And another man like Jean-Baptiste and Charles Darwin, who are millions of years far away from Adam, are telling us that Adam did not tell us the truth. This is the truth. Now, how can a man who came more than 1 million years after the first man who is seconds to creation, how can this man know better than the first person? How possible can it be that someone who came millions of years, or maybe 1 million years, to be short, maybe, I don't know, I'm just assuming, how can he be more knowledgeable than someone who is seconds away from his creation? I think there's no way that we can compare this to. So the Darwin's theory, the concept of gene baptist, they are all assumptions. And we know many scientists do not believe in what they said. So they are all mere assumptions, right? So now they cannot nullify the concept of Allah, because the concept of Allah is the most established concept on earth, and it has the best and the strongest backup. The strongest backup is, the first one is, the first man on earth worshipped Allah, who is Adam. And then his progeny, a lot of prophets came after him. And you have evidences of this proof, right? Yeah. So there's not any other physical and real proof that is as strong as this. And because of this, we cannot refuse Allah. We cannot turn away from the message of Allah. We have no option other than to agree with this message and believe in it wholeheartedly. Now, this brings us to the subject of Allah, to the subject of Tauheed, or the oneness of Allah, to the subject of Tauheed, knowing who Allah is and knowing how to worship Allah the Almighty. I do believe that I've said a lot for today, and I think by next week we will enter the subject proper. And I hope I've made sense in what I've said, and I hope my words are clear to you. The way I speak is a little bit clear to you. If we have contributions, we can send them to the WhatsApp page, and please, let's read what people have as contributions. If you are not okay with the way I'm presenting, what I'm presenting now, or you have your own challenges, please, you are free to make contributions on our WhatsApp page and the Telegram page. I thank you all for joining me, and my crew, my team, all those who are helping this to become a reality. Ask Allah to accept our ibadah in this Ramadan. Ask Allah to free us from this pandemic that has stopped everything across the globe. Ask Allah to bless us all. Ask Allah to provide for us what we have as needs. Ask Allah to give us the best of all ending. Ask Allah to make our last word on earth, La ilaha illallah, in a state of His pleasure. Ask Allah to join us with prophets in the day of judgment and His awliya and the good believers who have died on the path of Allah. Ask Allah to put us amongst those who are going to dwell in Jannatul Firdaus. My last words to you are Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. To meet tomorrow by 11. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik. Once again, Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wa sallallahu wa sallim. Ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. I'm Salisu Isa Ahmad. Thank you very much for being with me.